Evening, everyone. My name is Tom Drain. I'm the chair of the Central Beaverton Neighborhood Association Committee. And just real quick, for those of you who are either joining us for the first time or who are returning, but would like to be reminded of why we're here, the purpose of the Central Beaverton Neighborhood Association Committee is to act in an advisory role to the council and administration of the city of Beaverton on matters of importance to the Central Beaverton Neighborhood Association Committee or the city, and to provide a forum for the involvement and participation for the greatest number of citizens. So there are no dues or fees for NAC membership, and anyone who lives, works, or owns property or represents a nonprofit within the NAC border is a member. CBNAC's activities are civic and educational, and some of its goals are to bring about the maximum exposure of ideas and plans that are formulated for Central Beaverton, such as development proposals, we'll hear some of those later, or other land issues. I think we'll also hear about some of those later, and to provide opportunities to input to the city through such avenues as the mayor, city council, city commissions, and staff of the city of Beaverton. So we also have the city of Beaverton offers some programs that are available to the NAC, including a matching grant program that we utilize to fund some of our community activities. And then if you have an agenda, an agenda item that you would like to have added to our next meeting, or if you have any questions about the NAC, or have you an idea for a community event or a project idea, please see me after the adjournment of the meeting. I'm going to go ahead and add my email address into the chat for hopefully everyone. Make sure that everybody can read it. There we go. So I encourage you to send me a quick email during the meeting with your name and contact information so that we can follow up with you and let you stay apprised of our monthly agendas and what other things, activities the NAC has going on. Additionally, your email would be used to again, send periodic, to receive periodic updates on the NAC and upcoming events in the neighborhood. So with that in mind, we'll go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and allow all of our participants to talk as well. You will need to unmute yourself before we can hear you. So just as that, but I'm going to go through and just call on people since I can see everybody and I know where you are. And we'll run through and just, why don't you tell us your name, why you're here. So if you're a board member or maybe a presenter, what brings you to the neighborhood association meeting. And then I'm always looking for good ideas about where to go and eat. So why don't you tell me about the last place you got takeout in Central Beaverton, because I keep going to the same places. So I need new stuff. So with that, I will go ahead and ask Kevin Teater.
Hey everybody, my name is Kevin. I am the executive director of the Beaverton Downtown Association and a Central Beaverton NAC board member. The last place that I got takeout, I feel like it was just like last week. Might have been Family Cafe. I might have gone to Family Cafe. I can't remember. That's one place I really highly recommend to everybody though.
Excellent. And I realized I did not answer my own question, and my first answer was going to be wrong anyway. So Mediterranean on Watson and First Avenue, great falafel. So John Duggar. Yeah, there you go.
There we go. Sorry. John Duggar, vice chair. And I think that we last got takeout from Top Burmese. Which I was gonna do again today because of all the news out of Myanmar, and it's all crazy. So think about our good friends from other parts of the world that aren't having it very easy. But anyway, Top Burmese is fantastic if you haven't had it.
Awesome. Quinn?
Hey there, Quinn Simpson. I'm on the board and I'm the treasurer. Yeah, Top Burmese was cool. For those of you who haven't been there yet during the pandemic, they have a little robot that wheels your food out to you. So it's kind of fun. I forget the name of the robot. I don't know if any of you remember that.
Robbie?
Maybe, probably.
Jonathan.
I'm Jonathan, a Central Beaverton board member and the representative for BCCI. I just tried a new Thai place, Cow Thai on Southwest Hall. because apparently spicy Thai closed, so I needed to find a new place, and it was really good. Highly recommend it.
Holly Thompson.
Hi, everyone. I'm Holly Thompson. I'm the Communications Director at THPRD, and I'm just covering for Lulu, who was unable to be here this evening, but she will be with you for the rest of 2021. And I recently had takeout from Big's Chicken. Highly recommend the Little Dirty. It's very good.
Francisca.
Hey everyone, my name is Francisca Rose and I'm the Public Involvement Coordinator for the City of Beaverton. I'm also the staff liaison to the super lovely NAC. And I'm right there with Holly. The last takeout I had was Big's Chicken, completely obsessed with their fried chicken sandwich and black eyed pea salad.
Right on. Sara King.
Good evening, I'm Sara King, City of Beaverton staff and a presenter later today. The last takeout I had downtown was from Naquan and it was fabulous.
Nice, fantastic. James Draught.
Hi, yes, I'm a presenter as well with the same item that Sarah's presenting on. I'm one of the owners on the program, on the proposed development that involves the book corner. And Big's Chicken is the only place I've had any takeout, so I have to mirror those last two responses.
All right, good to know. Officer Sutton.
Hey.
And then we'll, after you introduce yourself, we'll finish out introductions and we'll come back to you for the report.
Oh, okay, are you ready for me then?
No. Why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself, and then we've got a few more introductions to do, and then I'll come right back to you.
All right, my name is Brad Sutton. I'm a police officer with the City of Beaverton, have been since 2006, and I am your Central Beaverton NAC officer. I am not as exciting as you folks. I rarely eat out. However, I did have coffee at Ava's downtown hall last week. So that's about the closest thing I can give.
That's fine.
Good.
Glenn Ferdman.
Good evening, Glenn Ferdman, Beaverton City Library Director. I'll be presenting along with Sara later this evening. My last takeout was actually dine on a patio at McMiniman's Cedar Hills, a very freezing cold day where the overhead space heaters didn't stand a chance against the wind. Fortunately, after sitting in the cold long enough, my teeth stopped chattering and the beer took effect and it became pleasant.
Very good. Ann Witzel?
Yes, hi. I'm also a presenter tonight, so thank you for allowing me to participate.
Absolutely.
Gosh, the best takeout that I've actually had during this period is through Bowtie and in Beaverton, so it's really nice. Yeah.
Fantastic. Stephen Sparks.
Good evening. My name is Stephen Sparks. I'm with the Beaverton School District. I too will be presenting a little bit later this evening. And the last takeout I had, I think, in the Central Beaverton NAC area was either the Sub Shop or Giovanni's, one of the other.
Nice, both classics. Frances Miller.
Hi. I took out breakfast this morning, but it was some biscuits, which is probably not in the Central Beaverton area. And I brought with me another resident from Beaverton Lodge, and she's been a volunteer with the Corner Library.
Oh, fantastic. Is she on your connection, or is she connected separately?
No, she's here beside me.
Would she like to introduce herself?
Well, talk to him. Tell him who you are.
Oh, I'm Shirley Pease, and I volunteered at the book corner for about 5 years.
Can you hear her?
Absolutely.
Okay.
And I just wanted to see what was going on with the book corner.
Okay. Well, thank you for joining us, Shirley. Kinsey Johnson.
Hi, everyone. I'm Kinsey. I'm a Central Beaverton board member, and I am not actually on the West Coast right now, so my last takeout will probably not apply to all of you, but I definitely know the last place I went in Oregon was the BG's Food Cartel. So
nice.
Food trucks. So I need to go there.
All right. John Bell. Mr. Bell, if you you may be muted.
Okay, I got my name.
Absolutely.
I got me unmuted. It's a real learning experience for us old timers on using this on this system.
Well,
But
thanks
I'm
for
interested in what's happening in central area, and I'm real concerned and like the idea of having First Avenue open for dining out.
Mhm.
And I think, of course, having side canvases might be maybe a little bit warmer, but then you destroy the effect of being outside.
That's true.
So I'm just interested in here. I've been attending the meetings often.
Mhm.
I'm on the officer for Meals on Wheels.
Mhm.
Beaverton, our dining hall is closed right now, but we're using the building for homeless shelter 24 hours a day, and we deliver meals at home. 5 meals at a time, 5 days at one time. So each person gets one visit a week instead of 5.
Hmm.
But
Well, thanks for continuing that, and also it's good to see you again, even in this different venue.
Oh, that's right, there are no showers.
We'll continue on then to Myra Siegel.
Hi, I'm here as an interested homeowner, and the last takeout I had, I went with a girlfriend to a 40, and I had sobe soup and sat on their porch. She and I sat on the porch and ate, and it was really, really delicious. It was very expensive, but very, very tasty.
Excellent. Thank you very much. And finally, Rachel Phillip.
Hey, I live here in Central Beaverton. I'm also a member of the Visioning Advisory Committee, and I came to see what was happening, and I'm also especially interested in the subcommittees that are on the agenda.
Fantastic. Well, we'll get to that kind of towards the end of the meeting. And welcome to all of you. Thank you to our attendees and presenters. And with that, we will continue on to Beaverton Police Department and Officer Sutton.
All right, thank you for having me, folks. I appreciate it. So since the last meeting, if you guys remember, this is specifically for John and Quinn. They had a concern about people driving way too fast on Southwest Main between 5th Street and about, I'd say Allen. Let's just say anything from 5th south to Allen. So I've been kind of going through quite a bit of different stuff. I tried to get the photo radar van back there. I couldn't get that. There's some hurdles I ran into, but what I did do is I asked for the traffic safety department to do a survey. What they do is they put out this thing they call the black box, and we've all seen it before, where you drive over kind of like a long, it almost looks like a garden hose that they stretch across the street. Well, that collects data about how many cars are driving through a specific area and how fast they're going. And what they did is they put the black box out from January 20th to January 25th. And they set the threshold at 10 miles an hour over the posted speed. So what this system is doing is it's registering anything going 35 and above as they would consider a violator that would be in need of where someone would get a citation, anything 10 and above. So unfortunately, the data that came back during that 5-day period was relatively low. It was very low. They said only 2.5% of cars driving through the area during that 5-day period were driving it over 35 and above.
Did you say unfortunately?
Unfortunately, because I agreed with John and Quinn that I thought the problem was going to be much greater, at least the numbers would be. So keep in mind, this was just a sample during a 5-day period, the 20th to the 25th. I don't know the hours that it was placed and the hour that it was picked up, but I know that once it's placed, it's there 24 hours, for 24 hours, obviously. And that's what we got. So I've emailed with Quinn at least once about some concerns he had in the area. And I do appreciate that. Thank you for letting me know. So we're not done. The issue is not over. I'm asking for one of the speed trailers to be put up somewhere on Main Street. And that's the reader board that just tells people how fast they're going. I think that is something that's easy to do. For whatever reason, the photo radar van is a bigger hurdle than I thought it would be. And I don't know why, but some people above my food chain are saying that it's not a location they can deploy the van to anymore. So don't know why on that one. I wish I had better things. Other than that, as a department, we are almost done with all officers getting our COVID vaccine. That's something that was offered to all of us. I don't know the numbers of who took it and who didn't. I think most officers did, but that's something that we're just about wrapped up with. So everyone should be up and vaccinated here by the end of February, I believe. And with that, nothing too pressing going on. There's some changes to the laws coming out. We're just getting some directive on how to handle some of the new drug laws that are coming out that just came into effect today. I haven't had a chance to really read through them, but I do know that it basically decriminalizes small amounts of hard street drugs like methamphetamine, heroin, LSD, things like that. So we'll see how that goes. Any questions that I can do my best to try and answer for you folks?
No, I just want to say thank you. I know you spent a lot of time, and I know we did go back and forth on an email, just so everyone else. We had this car blasting by so fast that like it set off our doorbell, like the camera, and like we recorded it. But I mean, I'm pleasantly surprised to hear the numbers are low, but regardless, just want to take a moment to recognize like this incredible white glove service that we get, number one, and number two, I know just talking to you how much you care about this and how much time you spent. So really, really appreciate all
Thanks,
the
John.
efforts. Really, really do.
Oh, I thank you. I appreciate you saying that, John. I know it probably came off weird, and I said, unfortunately, the numbers weren't higher. But I was of the same opinion of you guys. I thought people were speeding a lot more. And talking to the traffic sergeant, he thinks school not being in session does play a part in it. He thinks if high school was up and running like normal, we might see more violators. I agree with that too.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Are there other questions for Officer Sutton? And for those of you who are attendees and may not have the ability to speak up and unmute yourselves, you can always raise your hand, and I will be monitoring that. So Mr. Sparks, yes.
As a school district employee, I wish I could refute Officer Sutton's comments, but boy, howdy, I can't.
Fantastic. Well, last call for anyone else. Well, I tell you what, Officer, thank you very much for joining us. And I know that I would be interested to hear about the changes in response to, according to the laws that are going into effect. You know, as you get more familiar with them, I would, I'd be interested to see how the department perceives that, and then how the community is affected by it as well. So
yeah, absolutely.
Thanks for mentioning it. Absolutely.
Well, you're welcome. And like I say, every meeting, please, if there's something you want to talk about, you don't want to do it in this forum, please email me or reach out to me. I'll be more than willing to help you out any way I can and do what I can for you.
Great. Appreciate it. Thanks once again.
Thank you.
Thanks. Have a great night. Take care.
Moving on to Tualatin Hills Parks and Recreation District report.
Hi, everyone. Like I said, I'm Holly Thompson. I'm Communications Director at THPRD, and I'm just covering for Lulu Ballesteros, who couldn't be with you all this evening. You may have heard last week on January 29th, there was some new guidance that came out from the state of Oregon. Said that it was possible now, even in counties like Washington County that are still in the extreme risk category, to have some activity in gyms. So we were super excited when we saw that guidance. Then we read it and we've dug in, and now we have some questions. So in the guidance, it talks about the number of people that can be in the space or indoors, and the number of square feet that we have to keep between people in different households. So right now, as written, that guidance says we have to maintain 25 feet between people in different households inside of buildings. But there's some question actually statewide about, is that a typo? So there are a lot of people on the park and rec side statewide that are trying to talk with OHA and get some better understanding of that guidance. But we are starting to get questions in about, like, now that that guidance changed last week, will you be able to open facilities? And my best information right now is stay tuned. We're working with OHA. Our intent is certainly to be able to open facilities as quickly as we safely can within all guidance, but we're still trying to understand what that means. So for right now, no changes, but we're hopeful that we can get some certainty and get some information about that we might be able to see some additional openings in the coming weeks. We did open the Raleigh Swim Center in January. It has been incredibly highly used, so much so, in fact, that we've had to implement a slight change in scheduling for it. So, you know, we serve 250,000 people. We serve all of the city of Beaverton, plus urban unincorporated Washington County, and that's the only pool that we have open right now outdoors. So you can imagine every spot is full with a wait list for those spots. So we shifted in beginning February 5th. We will be allowing in-district residents, so people who live within THPRD's boundaries, the ability to register 7 days in advance, and then out-of-district folks will be able to register 6 days in advance, similar to how we kind of manage a normal registration process where people who live within THPRD boundaries have the ability, have the benefit of living within the boundaries and ability to register earlier. So we'll be implementing that as well. We do have some community events that are going on this Friday. We'll be partnering with Steve Sparks's organization, the Beaverton School District, and with the Oregon Chinese group. Oregon Chinese Coalition is, I believe, the name of the group. And we are putting on a Chinese New Year celebration up at HMT. It's reservation only so that we can make sure that we keep the numbers within the appropriate levels of people that we can have outdoors, but it will be a really beautiful event. And then coming up later in February, we'll have our second talking wall happening. And I'm sure Lulu's talked to you about the talking walls that we did at the Sunset Sports Complex. So our second talking wall will be a partnership with Color Outside the Lines and with NAYA, the Native American Youth Family Services Organization. And that will be at Greenway Park. And we will have some beautiful murals that will reflect our Native culture in the Americas, both Central and South America, as well as here in North America. So some really exciting murals coming in Greenway. And we've actually, Lulu and I just partnered on finishing a grant application on Friday. We've got a couple of more grant applications we're going to be working on. We hope to be able to expand talking walls in the next year to 4 more locations. So feel free to lobby THPRD if you have a location you think they'd be great, because it's a great way to get art in the park and to do it in a way that connects our BIPOC youth artists with BIPOC artist mentors. It's a really beautiful partnership. We've definitely had a lot of high use on our trails. So our park patrol is doing a pilot program this month, and they're working really closely with our nature and trails staff to have a presence daily out on the trails and to make sure that we're reminding people of that good health and safety guidance. So, you know, just gentle reminders to remember to keep the space, keep the 6 feet, please wear a mask. We'll have masks to give away if people aren't wearing masks. And if Bowser's not on a leash, we're gonna ask you to please leash Bowser. So trying to be out there doing that positive messaging. I'm happy to answer any THPRD related questions. And I know we've got work with the Downtown Association on the bike rack installation at the Beaverton Swim Center. So super, super happy to work with y'all on that. Kevin, I saw your hand.
Yeah, you or Lulu might have mentioned talking walls before, but they don't ring a bell with me. I would love a little recap.
Yeah, so Lulu and I got in a conversation right after the murder of George Floyd. And, you know, like the rest of the world, we were just heartbroken, I think, between the pandemic and the national reckoning on racism and trying to figure out, you know, what could we do from the lens of being park and rec professionals, and how could we do something right now, right? And also keep in mind, THPRD is very, you know, everyone has been infected by the pandemic, but we are unique, I think, among government agencies in that about 1/4 of our revenue relies on fees for service. So with our facilities closed and programs closed, it's been pretty financially devastating. So resources were super limited. But we pretty quickly went from idea to action. And we had the idea to do two things. We came up with the message gardens. So like what you have at Schiffler Park, the special little area with the painted rocks with a message of hope and peace and solidarity for racial justice. And then the second idea was to find a way to partner with an organization to put murals that spoke to how the community was feeling about racial justice in the community. And the first talking wall was at the Sunset Sports Complex. We did it in partnership with the Black Student Union at Sunset High School. And those kids were just amazing, so inspiring. And they recruited their own like student artist leaders. And we partnered with an organization called Color Outside the Lines, which has done a lot of the mural work that you see throughout Portland. And what they specialize in is taking at-risk youth or BIPOC youth and partnering those youth artists with an artist mentor from their same race or from their same background to just really kind of imagine like you can achieve this, right? Like someone who maybe has a common story or a common connection with you, and to help mentor you through the development of your art. And they help those kids develop their concept into a mural that we then put on 6 different murals up at the Sunset Sports Complex. And I'll never forget at the day that we began to paint the murals, this one youth artist who spoke up, and her mural is frankly my favorite. It's absolutely gorgeous. And if you go to our website, you'll see it, it's gorgeous. And you know, she said, this is the first time I felt that I belonged in this community. Like I come here and I see this art and I see myself and I feel like I belong and I feel like this is a space where I'm welcome. And so, you know, that's the point of the talking wall, to create space where everyone feels welcome, where people see themselves, and to learn some history. And our murals at Greenway Park are going to have some really cool history. And we're putting wayfinding, some signage around that to explain the story of the art with it.
Excellent. I'm going to hop in here just for a moment and say, Myra, I saw your question and we'll address that in just a moment after we're finished with the THPRD. But John and Quinn, you had?
Yeah, I was going to ask, only because I got questioned by a neighbor. Is there, so we know that there's a kind of pocket dog park at Schiffler now, but that is really the only dog park on the entire eastern 2/3 of the city. Are there plans to expand additional pocket dog parks to serve this half of the community, kind of from like, even from like west of here, east, basically? A couple of neighbors have asked me recently, most recently, I got a text of a map of, it was like, have you seen this? Like, and I was like, yeah, I know where all the dog parks are, but just thought I would ask for an update.
Yeah, that is actually a great topic, and that's managed in my department as well. So I've got that map actually and lots of information about that. Dog parks are an interesting topic. Everybody wants them, but a lot of people don't want them in their neighborhood. And that Schiffler one was possible actually because of neighborhood activism, right? We were meeting with some local neighbors who were really concerned about some of the activity, selling of drugs and other things that were happening. And from a crime prevention standpoint, we were brainstorming with them about, you know, one of the best ways to eradicate negative activity is to put a lot of positive activity in that area. And so it was actually the neighbors who live directly behind and across from that dog park spot at Schiffler who said, can you just turn this into a dog park? And we were like, amazing, yes. Because usually, you know, it's one of those things that everyone's like, we want it, but don't put it right next to my house. So we are flipping the script on dog parks in 2 ways. One thing that we're doing a lot better is that we're putting it up front in the master planning process. It's a lot easier to build a new park with a dog park embedded as a component instead of trying to do it as an add-on. And then the second thing we are doing is we're implementing what I'm calling a dog run strategy. So a dog park, and you know, Steve Sparks is going to be specific. He's the dude who'll tell you the specifics. I'll give you the general picture. you know, a dog park is bigger and a dog run is smaller. So that dog run at Schiffler is smaller than a larger dog park, but we are committed to putting in 2 dog runs a year at established parks. And what we have done is we've identified a pocket of money to be able to make that an ongoing rolling project. We've tasked our public advisory committee, that's the Parks and Facilities Advisory Committee, has a ranking sheet. So they're going through from requests that have come in from the public to all sorts of criteria that's been done through public outreach and everything else of where are the sites where we see expansion of future dog runs. And then we're putting 2 in every year. So we just did a dog event, I think it's at Ridgewood Park, where we did a pop-up dog run like we did at Schiffler, pretty much to test the point, right? To give the neighborhood a chance, and also to rally the people who like it. Because a lot of times the people who are really well mobilized are the people who dislike something. So it's important to give a space for people who want something to, you know, come together to enjoy it and then to advocate for that. So that will be a site. And then there is another park exactly where you're talking about. The name is escaping me, but it is to the east. It's where we know we have a gap, and we'll be working on that one next. So that is coming this year with a pop-up event, opportunity for public input, and then putting that park in by the end of the calendar year. So I expect we'll have 2 more dog runs this year, and we're on track to have 2 more every additional year into the future.
Is that on a, number one, fantastic, and I really appreciate you guys. I know you guys have heard that feedback. Is that on a website somewhere, like the parks you guys are thinking about, or is there like the advisory board minutes or something like that that we can read?
Yeah, I could get you, I'll work with Francisca, and I've got Tom's email too. So I'll get you the information about what the future sites are that we're looking at. And if there are any parks that you are like, man, Central Beaverton NAC really would love to see a dog park here, you want to advocate for different locations, we're all ears. So please give us that feedback. And we will put that in the pipeline process to have it on the consideration list.
The only other thing I would mention is Highland NAC, just south of us, identified a dog run in their neighborhood as a priority a couple of years ago. And I worked with, I want to say someone named Kevin, but it might have been someone else at THP.
John,
So
John, if you don't mind, I hate to interrupt. We're running a little long. And I appreciate that you're looking out for other NACs, but I want to make sure that we stay.
That's fine.
Okay. If this is something that you can coordinate perhaps after the meeting, if you want to advocate for them, then I just wanted to recognize that Frances has had her hand up here, and maybe we'll take this one last question for Holly, and then if other attendees have look for more information for THPRD, then maybe they can get in touch with you directly, or Lulu. As well. But Frances, did you have a question?
Yes, the Schiffler Park dog park is always locked, and dogs with people trying to get in. And I'm interested in what the Stir Center is being used for 24 hours a day now.
So I'll have to check on the Schiffler dog run being locked. I'm not aware of that. That might have been a grass or saturation issue. I'll check on that. I know like Winkleman, we just expanded and we were chipping the ground. So I know they expanded Winkleman, part of it was down and then they chipped and it was added. So it might be, Schiffler might be closed for chipping. So I'll check into that and get back. The Stir Center has been used for a couple of things. It is the continued site, as John mentioned, of Meals on Wheels, food preparation and out the door coordination. So no eating on site. And then we also do have operated a homeless shelter there in partnership with Project Homeless Connect and with Washington County and Community Action. But I'm not aware of it being used as, I heard someone else say it too, 24 hours a day. That is news to me. I don't believe that that's actually accurate.
So the meals are still being prepared there for Meals on Wheels?
Yeah, they're still using the kitchen to prepare the meals, and then drivers are picking it up there. There's just no congregate eating inside the facility.
Okay, and the homeless are also being cared for there?
The shelter has concluded, so I do not believe there's any more activity there.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Thank you very much, Holly, and thank you for visiting us, and tell Lulu that we missed her, and we'll see her next month, hopefully.
Okay, thanks.
Excellent. John, I'm gonna hold on you for just a minute. We have a lot of agenda items still to get through, and so let me just. You're muted, but go ahead if it's something quick. Then, and I understand that you work with Meals on Wheels. If you have some extra information too, there you go.
Meals on Wheels is preparing the meals. They're basically frozen, ready-made meals for the center at Beaverton Community Center across from the library. That we prepare those meals and get them to them each day. But they're not physical meals. They're basically a frozen meal. They heat them up there at that location. They're not heated up in the center.
I see. Excellent. Thank you for the information. Very good. Thanks again, Holly. There was a question from Myra at the end of the DPD report asking, is there a speed limit sign on Southwest Main? I don't know if any of our residents on Southwest Main can answer that question. Or friend.
I actually don't know. I should.
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I guess the next time we're out for a walk, we'll take a look for one. And Myra, if you're here next month, if you haven't walked down Main yourself, then we will let you know. Okay. In that case, let's go ahead and move on. Because again, sorry about that, John. Again, I apologize. We just looks like we've got a lot still on the agenda. So moving on to BCCI report.
Yes, I'll make it quick. We had a couple presentations. The library is open at limited capacity and they are working on a vision and mission statement. So I'm going to post the link to the survey so you can have your input on what that will look like. We had a presentation on HB 2001, the House bill about housing. They're still working on that. Not too many updates. The BCCI will probably be putting on a voters forum in May for the open city council seat that Lacey Beatty is no longer in, and a couple, I think there's a THPRD, couple board members, and yeah, so we're probably doing that. The volunteer fair is still in discussion, but the general consensus was to push it to 2022 when it can be in person and be more impactful. And we're still working on a kind of a website redesign of and compiling information that's already out there, but to help NACs with development when they're presented with development in their neighborhood and how to respond and what all, just a bunch of information on that. And there have been no matching grants. So if we have anything and if you know people at other NACs, push matching grants. That's it.
Very good. Thank you, Jonathan. Going on to the city update.
Great, thanks so much, Tom. Again, my name is Francisca Rose, and I've got some big news on the city front. So the first one is regarding city manager recruitment. It says Beaverton is renewing our commitment to being a city that is welcoming, lively, and responsive. And we are looking for a long-term city manager to keep the community's needs and wishes at the center of all that we do. The search process for the position has begun, which follows interim city manager appointment last year and includes hiring of an external search firm for facilitation support, engagement, and opportunities for feedback. Initial plans call for the competitive process to begin in March. A decision by City Council is expected to be announced in early summer. And we need the community's help identifying the ideal characteristics that will complement the work we are doing today and guide plans for tomorrow. And you can stay informed on next steps, opportunities, and share your thoughts to be involved at www.beavertonoregon.gov/city manager. And I'll go ahead and put that in the chat here. The city manager is council appointed and oversees most city operations, departments, and the budget. The person assists the mayor and city council with putting the city's vision, priorities, and directives into action. Last year, Beaverton voters approved a new city charter that became operational January 1st and changes the city structure to a council manager form of government. And you can learn more about that at beavertonoregon.gov/charter, which I will also put on the chat here. Equity and public safety update. So during the last year, city leadership and community members have come together to learn and explore experiences with public safety, as well as address systemic racism within city structures and practices. We are engaging with the community to expand and implement positive change. The Human Rights Advisory Commission, HRAC, wrapped up the final session of the BPD HRAC inquiry sessions in January. The finalized recommendations were made available and presented to the City Council during an interactive roundtable meeting on January 26th. Topics included police funding, transparency, policy changes, community connection, and the school resource officer program. A recording of the meeting is available on the City Council agenda website, and video footage of previous meetings is on the HRAC website. And you can stay up to date on Beaverton's ongoing equity efforts and work with the community at beavertonoregon.gov/beheard. And I'll put that here as well. And then just two more updates here. So Beaverton receives a WIFIA loan. So the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency has announced an $81 million Water Infrastructure Finance and Innovation Act loan. So that's what that acronym means, to the city for water systems projects, saving Beaverton an estimated $31.3 million. The loan will help finance a series of projects that will enhance the reliability and resiliency of our water system and meet the needs of a growing area. The projects will construct major transmission mains, new water connections, seismically resistant drinking water storage, and more. Project construction and operation are expected to create more than 500 jobs. And the WIFIA program, not even sure if that's how you pronounce the acronym, is a federal loan program to accelerate investment in the nation's water infrastructure. For more information about that program, visit epa.gov/WIFIA. And for updates on the city's projects, visit beavertonoregon.gov/water. And last but not least, super exciting, WCCLS eliminates overdue fines. Washington County Cooperative Library Services, WCCLS, will no longer charge for overdue materials, and all existing overdue fines have been removed from patron accounts. This change has been made because the mission of the WCCLS is to serve all residents of Washington County equally, affordably, and with easy access. Studies have shown that overdue fines most severely impact communities of color and/or with lower incomes and don't significantly promote the timely return of library materials. And you can learn more at wccls.org/fine-free. And I'll go ahead and put the rest of those links that I mentioned in the chat here. Does anyone have any questions? All right, great.
Thank you very much, Francisca. Moving right along then. Into officers' reports. Did all of the board members get a copy of the meeting minutes from Amanda last month? Excellent. See acknowledgement. Kinsey, did you get those?
Yes, I got that.
Excellent. Does anyone have any errors, omissions, edits? Excellent. In that case, let's go ahead and just move to accept the minutes as submitted by Amanda Clark.
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes as presented by Amanda.
Very good.
You need a second.
I'll second it.
There we go. Excellent. All those in favor of accepting the minutes as submitted, say aye or yay or raise your hand or somehow visibly. Or yes, excellent. Very good. Minutes are accepted. It's not on, I skipped you on the agenda, but Quinn, did you get a statement from Ryan?
I can share the quick treasurer's report.
That'd be great. Awesome.
Yeah. So we had so this is for January. So we had a starting balance of $6,330.38. We had interest of 23 cents. We had 0 expenses in the month of January. So we had an ending balance of $6,330.61. We do have one planned expense so far that I'm aware of in February, and that's the $500 for the mask reimbursement.
Right, and that's, yeah. Just going back over some minutes, I didn't see it actually acknowledged anywhere in the minutes, so that's why it's an agenda item for tonight, to make sure that there's been a record of that. But we'll get to that once we get to NAC business. Thank you very much, Quinn, and thank you for following up with our former treasurer. Excellent. Well, that brings the officer's report to a close. So let us now proceed to the book corner. And I will turn this over to, I'm not sure, Sara, or I believe Sara was coordinating this. So
yep,
the floor is
thank
yours.
you. Thank you. I'm getting my screen all set up here. Good evening. I'm Sara King with the City of Beaverton. And I'm here with Glenn Ferdman from the library, our library director, and we've got members of the development team here, Ann Witzel and Adam Monchi and Jim Draught. We're going to talk to you about a proposal that we are considering, and I'm going to pull up a PowerPoint, hopefully. So let's see if we can make this happen. All right, can everyone see that? Great, all right, Tom, thanks. Okay, let me see, let's start here. I'm gonna talk about a proposal to redevelop the Book Corner site and to move the Book Corner functions into the library. This is a project that's right on the edge of the Beaverton Central NAC. I believe it's on the border between Beaverton Central and Both Neighborhood Association. The Book Corner site, I think probably everyone's aware of where that is in Southwest Washington and Southwest 5th, right across from Beaverton City Park. It's a site that is owned by the City of Beaverton. It houses the Book Corner used bookstore. And it has been zoned for some time for high development, high density residential development. However, the zoning was recently changed for downtown as part of the downtown design project. And that zoning, the change that affected this property is that now instead of prohibiting most commercial uses on the ground floor, now commercial retail kinds of uses are allowed outright on the ground floor, paving the way for true mixed use development. The development proposal combines 2 adjacent sites for redevelopment. Let me show you where that is here in red. Ann Witzel and Jim Draught, who are here this evening, own the parcel to the east at Southwest 5th and Hall. The parcel combines 2 adjacent sites for redevelopment. It includes approximately 31 rental and between 1 and 3 commercial or live work units. The developer is proposing to purchase the Book Corner site at market value. And the city is requesting, even though it's a market rate transaction, the city is requesting the developer to provide some affordable units via the city's write down program, which I'll talk about in a minute. I'm going to turn it over to Glenn now to talk a little bit about the relocation to the library.
Thank you, Sara. Good evening, everyone. As Sara mentioned, part of this development proposal calls to integrate the Friends retail operation into the main library. And we completed a feasibility study in the fall of last year, which concluded that we were able to accommodate approximately 2/3 of the Friends physical retail operation as well as some additional space back of the house for processing, intake of donations, and a partial storage of their excess inventory. In addition, the city has agreed to work with the Friends to help them identify additional space for their online sales operation. And with that, Sarah, I'll turn it back over to you.
Okay, thanks. All right. I'm going to talk a little bit about the public benefits of this project. And by the way, we had this similar conversation. Glenn and I made a very similar presentation to the city council in December. So the reason the city's interested in this partnership for this redevelopment is multifold. First of all, the book corner retail and donation functions move to the Beaverton Library, which we see as a benefit. The project will expand housing choices near transit and downtown amenities like the library, like the park, like businesses downtown, like the farmer's market. The project will provide 4 affordable units for 10 years at 2 units at 60% median family income ceiling and 2 units at an 80% median family income ceiling. The project will provide ground floor activity and mix of uses, and the project will comply with the city's COVID good faith effort for contracting. If some of you are familiar with public sector projects, it's been pretty common, I would say, for the last 15, 20 years for many public projects, meaning projects that have public investment in them, to require contractors or subcontractors to make a good faith effort to award a certain amount of subcontracts to minority, women, and small businesses. And this is not a project that has a lot of public subsidy. As I said, we're selling it if we do so at market rate. Nevertheless, the city is pretty committed to trying to expand contracting choices for men, minorities, women, and emerging small businesses. And our good faith effort, I believe, is 20% of contracting is to be the goal for MWESB businesses. I'm going to turn it over now to, let me see, is this Anne and Jim, are you going to make the presentation tonight, or is Adam going to make the presentation?
I'll go ahead and start. Adam may be on the line, but I'll start. So thank you, Sarah.
Sure. And Jim, let me know when you want me to move the slideshow.
All right, I'll say a few words and then we can kind of work through those slides. So I think Sarah's done a pretty good job of explaining what this is. My wife, Ann Witzel, and I have owned the parcel next door, the book corner, for quite a few years. And as Sara mentioned earlier, it's been zoned for multifamily for a long time. And now it's a little bit expanded. The zoning's expanded a little bit to include some multiple use. But this project is primarily an apartment. There is one true commercial space and a couple of live work spaces. There are about 18 2-bedroom units in this plan, 12 single bedroom. I think there's 1 3-bedroom. We have a partner in this, Adam Monchi. He's our development partner, and I think he's on the line, but he had a conflict earlier and didn't think he was going to be able to make it. But since we are running a little bit longer, he may be here now. I don't want to.
No.
I think I heard his voice. I don't want to take up a lot of your time. We have a 1-to-1 parking ratio for this. We have secured bike parking associated with it, and beyond that, why don't we go through a couple of the slides that we have? This is the north-facing side of the property, facing the park where the fountain is. And Hall Street would be over here where the coffee shop is. And this is just looking west on 5th. Why don't we go to the next one, sir? And looking the opposite direction on 5th. go ahead and switch. This is the back side of the property. There's tuck under parking along with other outdoor parking. It's elevator served. And I think that's the last slide. Is that right? That's more or less what we saw in the beginning. So I don't have much else to add. I'm open to questions if you have them to figure out what this is all about.
Can you go back one slide to the parking view, please? Yeah, that one. It kind of matches the one across it. I'm actually not concerned about the number of spots at all, but I am like one of the things we like consistently to think about, particularly in this area, is a consistent pedestrian experience. And if we have gaps where, you know, where it's like parking lots or whatever, and I'll be a little controversial and say I don't love the library design either, because it's surrounded by a giant grass field and then a giant parking lot, right? Like it's like we have islands of activity that are disconnected. And so number one, I actually like the design. I think it's good. I think there's might be a little opportunity to tweak that entrance to be a little more pedestrian friendly, or just have the look of like an urban environment they're going to. I don't have suggestions myself. I would just encourage you to think about that, particularly from a person walking it. If we get Hall and Watson right, and my hope is that we do, then that could be a pretty big pedestrian, you know, corridor, people biking, and I think this place could be really special for that. And number two, I commend you investing in our neighborhood. I think that's really important, and it tells a story that we want to hear. We'll worry about the design a little more, I think, a little later as we go through the process, but just want to kind of mention that. I appreciate this.
I'm glad to hear that. Is your concern with regard to the parking and the driveway just the width of it? Is it the scale of it? Is that what you're reacting to?
Yeah, I think it's, and I'm not a building designer, not an architect, anything like that. I just, like, I know as a pedestrian when I come up to like across the street, across Hall, there's a couple similarly scaled apartment buildings or condos. I don't know what they are, but I don't love walking by them. You know, it doesn't feel as safe, or it doesn't feel as like friendly to walk by them. And I don't know what the answer is, but I would just, I would defer to your architects. I'm sure they have work, you know, I'm sure they have things in their itinerary that they can do, but I just think at any time we can, I don't know if it's trees, I don't know if it's the width, I don't know if it's lighting, you know, just some of those tweaks to make people that walk by and say, wow, this is a cool place to walk. You know, I'd love to go get coffee here kind of thing.
I know both on the apartment complex, I think, Kevin, where you are or near on 5th, as well as the new units going up on Lombard, they all have their gated access. So fences with either automated gates, or I think they're automated, essentially, which would go across that crosswalk there. I have no idea if that's a good thing or bad thing, but that's just one. I don't, as a pedestrian, I don't mind walking by that unit on 5th because of the gated kind of design there.
Well, your comments are noted. Thank you.
And I just had a similar question about pedestrians while we're on that topic. So Washington Avenue is on the other side of the.
Correct. That's on the far side of this.
Yeah. And I know that we that's our main route from where we are to cross legally or illegally to to City Park and to the farmers market. I'm pretty certain there's no crosswalk there. I was wondering if there's a plan to incorporate some kind of pedestrian safe crossing there, in addition to what we already have at is it Hall?
Yeah, Hall. Yeah. I'm not aware that this, in the meetings we had with the bureaus, I'm not sure that came up. I don't recall that. I don't know, Adam, if you recall, if you're on here, if you recall hearing anything about that.
No, Jim, that's something you're talking about, crosswalk across Hall or 5th.
Across 5th.
Across 5th, yeah. Well, that's in the design. When we submit for the design review, that may come up, but that's not something that we can control. The city may dictate that.
Yeah, we have not gone through or I shouldn't say we, I wouldn't be doing that, but Adam and Jim have not gone through, taking the project through a pre-application process yet. So I think we don't, that's a really good question. I haven't heard, because of that, we haven't had conversations with city staff that might get to that kind of detail. And I don't know whether the city would do that in response or not. I'm happy to raise that to the city. It also might be something that you as a NAC, if it's not something that the city does or requires of the developer as a condition of development, that may be something that you as the NAC could raise to the city as well and request a crosswalk.
I have been at that corner a number of times. I know exactly what you're talking about. But I have found that the traffic on Fifth is never so dense that I'm unable to actually cross at that location. But I imagine at certain times of day, maybe that is the case.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think the city would probably rely on the traffic study. And if I had to guess, the traffic study probably won't warrant additional crosswalk beside what is on there on corner of Fifth and Hall. Because there's a crosswalk on Fifth and Hall. And what you're suggesting is that should we explore one across from Washington? Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's a good
pretty
question.
busy. Yeah, it's
I mean,
a busy block. It's a busy intersection there too, especially with the farmers market and there's a lot of farmers market parking on that side of Fifth. And there's even a pathway at City Park that kind of goes right to that intersection too. So it kind of seems like a natural.
Good question. I think it may come up in the traffic study. We can explore it with the city.
Great, thank you.
I guess there's a lot of different information coming in from both panelists as well as the chat. Let me get to some of these chat panelists and comments in a moment. But you mentioned that there would be a traffic study involved with this.
Yes.
That's very good. That was kind of my only question. Francis, I will get to your two questions that I just wanted while we're on the subject of this crosswalk. Stephen Sparks, and you would know this better than I do. I said that you've discussed this particular crosswalk question, and there's no warrant for a mid-block crosswalk on Fifth. Now, does that include just the fact that there's not a marked crosswalk, or does that include the fact that there is as at every intersection in the state of Oregon, an unmarked crosswalk?
Right. So I apologize for sticking my nose into this discussion. It's just something that in a prior work life when I was with the city, we talked about this periodically, this very issue of crossing Fifth from, I believe it's Washington on that corner. And each time that we've discussed it, there was no warrant because it is a mid-block, it's considered a mid-block crossing because you do have the crossing at Hall at Hall and at Watson on the not Watson.
You're right.
Gosh, I'm starting to lose my streets. Anyway, so there are the protected crosswalks in those locations. And if you had any dealing with city transportation engineering, it's all about moving traffic through the street grid, and having a unprotected sidewalk or a crosswalk connection mid-block is an anathema to them. So the process will likely be, if things haven't changed too much, Sarah, it would likely be going to the Traffic Commission to get that in place.
That's great advice, Steve. Thank you for piping up. I haven't been with the city that long, and so I really appreciate you bringing your knowledge to the table.
Thank you, Steve.
Excellent. Yes, thank you very much for that. And Francis Miller had two questions. First was, what's the proposed time that the building would be finished, or time frame that it would be finished? And then could you give her an idea of what the yearly income equivalent of 60% and 80% MFI is?
Sarah, do you want to respond to the 60/80? I think you've got that at your fingertips.
Well, it's not at my fingertips anymore. It was last week when we went to both, but why don't you take the first question, and I think I remember what it is. So I'm going to try to rack my brain here.
Okay, Adam, you want to address the timing?
Yeah, our plan is to start hopefully by early, 2020. Ideally, we'd like to start maybe late this year, but the way things are going, it may not happen. So we're looking at 12 months of construction. So end of 2022 is probably realistic, but maybe ambitious. It may spill into 2023.
So I think you may have misstated at the very outset saying 2020. You meant 2022, a start in early, or maybe.
Yeah, started in 2022 and hopefully finishing early 2023. Did I say 2020?
That's what I heard, but it's very possible I misheard it.
Yeah.
That's it. Thank you. 2020 does seem like it's still going on in some cases.
Yeah.
So, absolutely understandable.
I can't believe we were in 2021 already.
Sarah, do you have those numbers?
Yeah, I can remember the approximates. So the median family income, first of all, thank you for asking that question. I figured somebody would ask that question. I just forgot to get the numbers out for this meeting, but I've got enough, I've got an approximate number. So these numbers are put out annually, and they are based on, I believe, by county. And so for Washington County, for a family of 4, someone making 60% median family income or less can make no more than, it's like approximately $55,000. And a family of 4 at the 80% median family income threshold doesn't make more than, it's about $73,000, $74,000.
All right. So I anticipate that we will see your group again in the next sometime in the coming year for the neighborhood review meeting or meetings. And in the meantime, is there any other questions? Thank you, Kinsey.
Tom, I have one.
Yeah, Kevin.
Rachel put in the chat, will there be any electric car charging spots?
Oh, thank you for.
Yeah, we plan to have at least one parking spot that is for electric chargers. Things are rapidly changing. By the time we're under construction, it may change. We may add more charging stations. They're not inexpensive. So if our tenants, we realize the tenants are demanding and using it, we're going to increase it. We most likely will add more power. We'll have the panels to add more. That's the key for adding charging stations, to have the power source.
Adam, this is Ann speaking. We've also discussed having interior bike security space. So
Yes.
when we're riding their bikes, or we're very pedestrian and bike friendly with this facility and planning.
Thank you for adding that.
Last question I had, this design was proposed for the current draft of the downtown design?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, it is.
And that is not final yet, I believe?
No, it's not.
Okay.
So you mean the design, or do you mean the city's development code changes?
The city's development code changes.
Yes, those were adopted by city council in December.
December, okay. I missed the December minutes, so I didn't.
Oh, yeah, I misunderstood.
No, that's quite all right. So thank you for clarifying that. And it was a recent development that I would not been kept on. Maybe we'll make this the last question for this group, so we can hear from Beaverton School District. Francis Miller again asks, Shirley wants to know how the corner bookstore volunteers leaders feel about the move.
I'll take that question. We have been in meetings with the board of the Friends who run the book corner operation from the start of the project, and have met with them throughout the process, getting their input into their preferences regarding the design and the features. So they are well aware of the project and our plans to incorporate the elements that we described, as well as the city is committed to helping them identify space for their online retail operation. Plus, the city is also committed to spending up to $140,000 to renovate the main library from the proceeds of the sale of property to incorporate the Friends retail operation into the library. So thank you for the question.
Very good. Well, again, thank you all for coming by, and we've got a lot more information than we did before, and I'm sure we will see you all again in the next few months.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Right.
Excellent. And then now, moving on to the Beaverton School District. Thank you very much for your patience. We're running a little long tonight, but eager to hear.
Yeah, so Franziska, if you could allow sharing.
You've got sharing permissions already. You're good
Perfect.
to go.
So what I'm recognizing what time it is, and that I've sent materials to you all already in terms of the videos and the survey and the like. I'm not going to get into that. I've got a somewhat longer PowerPoint that I will muscle through, and I'm more than happy to share it with you.
Just before you start on that, since there are some attendees that were probably not included in that material, if you have links, or maybe we can get the links to those videos and the survey posted for those who didn't benefit from the.
Absolutely, because we definitely want the information out there as broadly as we can get it. And so before I sign off, I will post those links in the chat. And Franziska can, passes wide, or Tom, you can as well. Anyway, so thank you for having me here this evening. I appreciate you allowing me the time to come and speak to you. The subject here is to talk about the long-range facilities plan. And the long-range facilities plan is our document that helps us decide, all right, where are we at in terms of our facilities and where do we need to go? And they're a 10-year look. So we have done a whole lot of work where we can project out, 10, 20, 30 years, but we're really focused on the next 10 years in this plan. Our last plan was adopted in 2010. The lifespan of these plans is about 10 years, and these plans must be completed prior to any capital bond being referred to the voters. So you may recall that in 2014, the voters of our district approved a $680 million bond. And you've seen the evidence of that bond all over the community. Vos is a new replaced school. We've got Timberland up as a middle school up there in the new Timberland area, which I think, Franziska, that's still in the Central Beaverton NAC. That hasn't been moved to a different NAC. But anyway, the new high school and the like. So we're creating this plan now to give the board an opportunity, if they choose to do so, to refer another capital bond to the voters. This has to be done, this plan has to be done first. And I want to emphasize, the board hasn't made any decisions on this whatsoever. So this is still in the planning phase. We're doing community outreach to inform people and solicit their feedback as well. Okay, so hang on, I'm going to try and go through this fairly quickly, and I'll allow you to see what we've got here. So educational programming, of course, is a major component of what we need to do. And one of the things that we use as a guide in our decisions is looking at decisions through an equity lens. So as you increase going up, that is the increase in poverty, which we measure in free and reduced lunch. And as you increase to the right, that's the percentage of students in color. So you can see since 2005, we have invested pretty equitably across the board for the district. And as our social justice awareness has become much more glaringly important in the past year, this is an important measure for the district as we are going forward. This map is just another graphical explanation of where those investments are. And those are, the yellow dots are the either replaced school or brand new school. This is another measurement for educational adequacy. We're using a square footage per student. And that is, an okay measure, but it's not the best, but it does tell us in an equity sense how we are using our spaces across the district. And does that mean we need to add more capacity or other tools that we have in the box?
Can I just interrupt you here? I was, in regards to that slide, the area is, that's just square footage, classroom square footage.
Right, so this is gross square footage per student. So when we look at the total square of a building, so that includes common like the library and the cafeteria, but it also includes classrooms. Now, we are also looking in terms of capacity, we're looking at the number of classrooms, the size of classrooms to get a more accurate reflection of what is happening to our students at each school. So facility condition obviously is a major component of this. Something that a lot of people don't understand is we've got 62 facilities and over 5.7 million square feet. Now, if you just imagine in your mind's eye, Big Pink downtown, that equals eight Big Pinks. So we have a lot of square footage to take care of. And with all that square footage comes a lot of facilities, whether that's HVAC systems, roofs, boilers, sidewalks, and everything in between. A major component here is the age of buildings. And if you look at the dark lines, those are buildings that are over the average lifespan of buildings. And I call your attention to Beaverton High School. That's over 102 years old, at least the core part of the building. And part of the plan options we're considering is replacing Beaverton High School. That is a major ticket item. Building a brand new high school out there in Mountainside was expensive. Building on an urban site with the issues that Beaverton High School has is going to be a very expensive proposition. We also are, we're very concerned about seismic, and you can see here in the dark lines, those are their lower rated buildings. Again, it's tied to age in a lot of ways. And here you've got Beaverton High School as the lowest and, dare I say, less safe building in the district. Facility condition, this tracks all the infrastructure that we own. Again, the roofs, the HVACs, all the pieces of machinery. And again, Beaverton High School is indicated as having a lot of deferred maintenance that needs to happen in that facility. Here's just another way of us looking at what is the total need for the next 10 years. And it's $610 million. We're not going to be able to do all of it, but we are going to be able to do a lot if we are able to pass a bond in the future. This tells you how we've invested the money from the 2014 bond. The dark lines are the new facilities, so that's the reason why you're seeing such high numbers there. 180, call it 185 million for Mountainside. Add at least 50 million to that, and it will not even be as big as Mountainside. That's how much things have changed in the past couple of years, just with construction costs. Capacity and enrollment is also a very important issue. You can see here in these next 3 maps are kind of our hot zones. The areas in red are the areas where we're projecting more enrollment than we do have capacity. But if you look at the district overall, we have capacity for all of our students. So it isn't just building new. We are an urban school that is declining in enrollment as a district. It's just certain locations, it's still growing, as you can see from this map. So this is the elementary schools that you're seeing. This is our middle school, and this is our high school boundaries. And please note, this is for the next 10. So this is in 2030, 31 is what we're projecting. And as you all know, projections are a best educated guess, is what it comes down to. We're pretty good at it. The thing that always surprises us every year is kindergarten enrollment. This year we're down 1,300 kids for obvious reasons. There have been years where we have, over 200, more than 200 more kids, kindergartners show up where we had no idea they were coming. So every year it's a little bit of a crapshoot. I mean, we track a lot of birth data and migration data, and it's always hard. But anyway, that's the data I wanted to provide you. And what I would invite you all to do is look at the videos that I'll share those links to. And at the end of the second video, we refer to a survey. And I really hope that you do take that survey, because that's your gift to us, giving us your priorities, your opinions, and anything else that you want to share with us, good, bad, or otherwise, because we need to know. We work for you. You're the taxpayers. So if you're saying, hey, yeah, send us a bond, I'm ready to vote, or boy, howdy, I'm really not so sure. I need more information, whatever it is, that's useful to us. So with that, Tom, I will stop talking and I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have.
John?
Yeah, I know the district has a lot of needs, including like when we volunteered for Grove, like some of the roofs are leaking. So I understand all of that. I won't talk a lot about that because we're running short on time, but I think as we go through the planning for Beaverton High School, where this neighborhood would be most interested, obviously in a new building going in, but I think about Portland School District and specifically Lincoln High School in an urban area. And what they did is they said, you know what, let's not build a giant suburban school in an urban district, right? Let's look at some competing land uses, right? That's a lot of land for that school. And if we build in a slightly different way, maybe we can accomplish some of our affordable housing options, some of our mixed use options, some of our sustainability things, all in giving students the place they need to learn safely. So I would encourage the district as we go down that route to let's think about not building a suburban high school in downtown Beaverton. I think that if you want my support, and I don't know if anyone else would agree with me, that's going to be key. Like this is a unique opportunity for Beaverton.
Thank you for that. I'm so happy to hear you say that, because we're arguing internally about what to do, recognizing that Beaverton High School, the property has several constraints and is the smallest footprint in the district. And doing a suburban school, we're no longer doing that, cannot do it. And so if you can picture in your mind's eye, as we don't have a swing school to send students there if we built a school. So we would do occupied construction. And where would we do that occupied construction? In all likelihood, we've done a variety of design studies, but it would be up on Farmington Road. And it wouldn't be a 2-story building. It may be a 4-story building. in order to get the right size there. The cafeteria was built in 2002, I believe, and we're not knocking that down. I mean, that's that, you know, we would keep that, but we would build a school up front after probably a 2-year, year and a half type of construction, move all the students and teachers into the building, and then start knocking down the old school. We'd have to keep the gym and we'd have to keep the auditorium for a time being. And then after we've knocked it all down, you know, rebuild the gym and the auditorium. The most recent example of this would be the Kaiser just down the street, you know, how they did their occupied construction. It would look very similar to that.
Can you give me an idea about what percentage of the, I mean, as you just mentioned, the entirety of the Beaverton High School is not built in 1915. So what's about the square footage that's up to modern seismic code?
So our current ed spec, education specification for a high school is the mountainside size school of 2,200 students. Okay. The reality of Beaverton, the central area of Beaverton, is we are not projecting any significant growth of enrollment. You know, we could, if we built a 2,200 student school, we would probably need to close down Southridge because there just aren't the students that there used to be. So what we're looking at is building a smaller capacity school at Beaverton. It would still have all of the bells and whistles, for lack of a better phrase, you know, that you would find at Mountainside in terms of, classroom size, classroom types, you know, the career technical education spaces, the music spaces, the art spaces, all the specialty spaces. And it would probably, you know, move the mark where people will say, hey, yeah, Mountainside's great, but we want Beaverton High School. I mean, I was in the city. Southridge High School was one of my first projects when I worked for the city. And everybody was just, you know, busting a gut saying, we want Southridge, we want Southridge. Well, now they built Mountainside, and nobody cares about Southridge anymore. So it's an evolving thing, but that set the standard. Mountainside set the standard. And so that's the type of result we would expect at Beaverton High School.
So I guess kind of that goes back to the real question I was getting of do you anticipate replacing eventually the entire physical plant or keeping those portions of the existing structure that are up to, I mean, the example that you gave was the kind of the seismic risk.
There is no reason right now that we can find to keep any of the building south of the cafeteria, south of the access drive. That was 2nd Street. I'm really dating myself here, I apologize, but that was 2nd Street in 2002 when that project happened. And it doesn't make any sense to keep it. There's, you know, the gym, the roof is failing. You know, the auditorium, we had a fire above it, you know, last year. So it's not like we're holding on. It's still, you know, a building that we can use, but it's a building that is at the end of its life.
Gotcha. Kevin, did you have a question?
Yeah, I do. Stephen, thanks for the really in-depth presentation. I really love seeing all the data there. I think John and Tom both hit on a few of my points already. One being that whatever you can preserve and reuse would be a huge boost, in my opinion, for the environmental sustainability pieces of it, where we've invested all these resources into a building. Like, let's see how, let's make them last as long as we can. Let's make them as safe as we can. Then there's also the piece for me for financial sustainability of a city and of a community. And I think people could be really scared of a potential price tag of a project of this size.
Yes.
So for me, like if I'm seeing a bunch of good data like this, it would help to have a little bit more context around like, okay, I see square footage per student, but I don't know how to contextualize that very well. So like,
right,
if you want to make that good argument there would be good. And then,
well, and you are residents of the area, and you're asking these kinds of good questions. For a person who lives up in North Bethany, who will never go to Beaverton High School except for maybe a basketball game, they'll be sitting there scratching their head saying, holy cow, why am I supporting this? You know, so capital bonds are a tough issue, and it's incumbent upon us to provide everybody with that data and to make their own decisions.
mm-hmm. I think you're off to a great start. I think this is a really great starting point, foundation. Yeah.
Yeah. And I hear you about the sustainability and reuse, and you know, respect the history as well. This is the high school. I mean, it's been here a long time. I think this will be the third or fourth Beaverton High School building. But for me, I'd like to be sure all the asbestos is now gone from the site.
Yeah, that too.
That's kind of important. We won't keep that.
Yep, true. Thanks.
So obviously, Beaverton High School was the center point of the, of the capital improvement. And my apologies, I only had not as long as I would have liked to have gone over the slides beforehand. Was there additional capacity that you're looking to add in the elementary or middle populations?
So our capacity additions are very tactical rather than strategic. There are a couple of sites where we need to add some classrooms. For example, up at Sato, our newest school, we are at capacity up there. And we have a place where we can add 4 classrooms. And we can do that for a couple of $1 million. And that's something that we would really want to move forward on. But there are other places where we don't need to add capacity. We need to move the boundary line, the attendance boundary line, to move children to places where we do have the capacity. So those are always going to be on the line. So Kevin, as you were talking about, financial responsibility, that's very key. We cannot go out to the voters saying, oh yeah, give us money because we're going to build. And, being a now declining enrollment district, have all these buildings to maintain, and we don't have the students to house, to really make them operate efficiently. So I am speaking heresy from a educational district position, but because I work as a city planner, I guess I am allowed a little leadway to say that. But your elected officials and the district leadership are hearing it, understanding it. They hate it, but they also know it's our reality.
And since you mentioned boundaries, how frequently does the district examine the boundaries?
Historically, the district examines them while it's kicking and screaming time. And there has to be some sort of enormous crisis to actually do it. The board has, over the last 5-6 years now, have essentially since the 2014 bond was passed, has stepped boldly into the 21st century by saying we need to think long-term and strategically. We are not a growing community like we have been for so many years. The go-go days of new subdivisions every month, those are gone. And so they are really, our board is really concerned with how to operate efficiently and within budget. And part of that means going and touching attendance boundaries. It's painful, it's emotional, and no one really likes having to talk about it. But our leadership and our board are more than willing, when the evidence is presented, that is a solution that we have to investigate. So the short answer is we're doing it far more often now, at least once a year. But they're not going to be necessarily district-wide amendments like the middle school adjustment that we just concluded.
Excellent. Francis Miller asks, didn't Beaverton High School Alumni Association just remodel parts of the school?
So the students, or the Beaverton Success Fund, is a great program. And I really have to tip the cap to Principal Irwin and all the alumni for that. Yes, that Success Fund has paid for quite a bit. So the most recent is the concession stand and restrooms out there by the track and football field. We're not proposing to take that out. But if we were to take that out, in all likelihood, we would fund putting it back. It's not something that we want to say, oh yeah, thank you for the money, now we're taking it to the dump. That doesn't do anybody any good, any favor.
Very good. Are there any other questions or comments for Beaverton School District?
So I will post the links in the chat. If anybody wants to send me an email, please send it to Stephen Sparks. If you send it to Steve Sparks, a very nice but confused custodian up at Bonnie Slope Elementary School, will get the email. He knows to send it to me, but if he gets too many of those, I then have to go up there and pull weeds at his school. So Stephen with a V _ Sparks at beaverton.k12.or.us. Thank you very much for having me, and I would be happy to talk to anybody about this project. So thanks again for your time.
I'm sure you will hear from me, living a block away from Beaverton High School with a very young child. So
well, we will be sure to improve the stadium lights to LED and shine them directly into your house.
Looking forward to it. At least as long as you keep the arborvitae, that's fine.
All right.
Excellent. Thank you very much. All right. A very, very busy meeting so far. So that brings us to NAC business. And let me bring up my agenda again. So yes, for old business, again, getting back to this payout to our volunteer for $500 for materials for mass creation. I did go back through, I just wanted to make sure that had been recorded in previous minutes. And I think that that it was may have happened during a meeting that was one of the kind of ad hoc meetings when we were just resuming things. So it never made it into the minutes, and I wanted to make sure that we actually have a correctly recorded motion for that, because this is not our money, this is the NAC's money. So if anyone would like to form this motion, and then maybe we can make sure that Jonathan gets it down, and then we'll confirm that it's entered in.
Yeah, I'll make a motion. We allocate $500 for the Central Beaverton NAC Mass Creation Program to reimburse the volunteers.
Very good.
I'll second it.
Excellent. All in favor? We still have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Still have a quorum. Excellent. All in favor of allocating these funds? Yay. Excellent. Jonathan, could you read that back to me?
Read it back.
Please.
John motioned to allocate $500 to CBNAC Mass Creation Program to reimburse volunteers, and Quinn seconded it.
Brilliant. And we passed unanimously. Excellent. Thank you very much for that little bit. Now that then brings us to the subcommittees. Better late than, oh, yes.
Tom, just I tried to post the survey in chat and it's not letting me do that. So
okay.
How about I send it to Francisca, and she can send it out if that's okay.
Yeah, I have the link, and then I mean, I think this is mainly for the attendees. If there are other NAC general members in attendance who would like the survey link, I believe I have that in the email, so I can make sure that once again, my email is in here. You can either contact me directly. You could probably contact Stephen Sparks directly, or Francisca, or basically anyone here if you would like to participate in that.
So I've just put my email in chat, and so people can, reach out to me directly.
Fantastic.
That'd be great.
Thank you
All
for
right,
that.
thank you.
Cheers. Excellent. So, and let's just go ahead and, because we're kind of getting into the, just gonna make sure that everyone has talking privileges for this discussion. So at our last meeting, we formed 3 different committees to help expedite NAC business for the community. Those were a committee for events, a committee for arts, and a committee for sustainability. And to date, we have no members or any business for those committees to consider. So I was going to open up the I think we had all discussed trying to engage the members of our community to come and join and help people recognize that not every member needs to engage with the land use and the Beaverton School District, and they can in fact just come and help out the community in whatever means they have either the desire or capacity to do. I don't know if people have an idea of where they would like to start. I know we basically, the only limitations that we've put on these committees is the number of board members that can sit on any one committee. And that's just to allow them to be a little bit more flexible and not have to adhere to the rigorous public meeting and recording laws. Instead, are able to meet more freely. So we can either go, yeah.
I was gonna say, maybe we should, what do you think about just going through each of the subcommittees and getting a listing of anyone who's interested in being on each one? If they're, yeah, I think we can have 4 board members per committee is the cap, I think is what we said, but maybe it's
3. 3 right now is quorum for us.
Okay.
We've got 7 since Ryan is no longer.
Okay. So yeah, so 3 tops. Yeah, and just kind of see where people are. Does that sound okay?
Yeah, absolutely.
By the way, Amanda wanted to let you all know she is happy to land wherever. So.
And I believe Kinsey said the last time she was here, she was interested in the sustainability.
I do recall that.
That's what I'm interested in too, but I'm not wed to it. Like I can do other things. Anyway, I want to just jump in with if they're interested, including the. I know we have some community members that were interested.
Hey, yeah, this is Rachel, and I'm also interested in joining the sustainability subcommittee.
As chairwoman?
I don't know, maybe. What does that mean?
So just because I believe Rachel is this, I wanted to check. Do you have any interest in joining the NAC board either now or at any time in the future?
Yeah, probably in the future. I think this is my 2nd consecutive.
Okay.
So
just to keep that in mind, when actually that would up our board number to 8, which means quorum is
4.
Is quorum,
5. Yeah, 4.
Is it majority or majority plus 1?
I would defer to Francisco.
I think it's 50% plus 1.
I think it is too.
So that
we would be okay then.
We would be at 5, which is good. Yeah. So yeah, that definitely it frees us up. So, and the only reason I ask is because I know that Chris Todd-Kourlas, dropped off the board so that we could have some more freedom in we do. And please, Jonathan, tell him we miss him
We need
like
him
a
back.
lot. Yeah.
I'll let him know.
And just in general, I mean, we miss Chris, and I haven't seen him forever.
For mostly for core, but for in general. Kidding.
Yeah, so that's fantastic. But just to keep that in mind, if anybody is thinking about joining the board, yeah, that should change our quorum number, so it wouldn't be an issue. What I'm going to say for myself is my availability for probably at least the next foreseeable future is variable but a little squeezed. I'm happy to serve on probably no more than one of them, and in whatever capacity. I think we should probably have at least one board member on each. More would be good. Doesn't necessarily have to max out, but if these could be general membership driven, that would be great. And just having them staffed in the first place so that you can make contacts and reach out to people with specific, hey, we've got this, I'm on this subcommittee, would you be interested in joining is probably a good place to start. So
Tom, for logistics purposes, would
Yep.
it make sense for us to get the interested parties listed and then get an email address so then those committees could kind of form themselves?
yeah, absolutely. I mean, we left them very open-ended in terms of what their currently what their goals and methods are, and they'll be just reporting to the board for any resources or to actually really do any business. So absolutely. So right now we've got events. Oh, actually, since you had mentioned email addresses and contacts, Francisca, I recall that Miles had requested at the leadership meeting that we made sure that each NAC had a up-to-date contact information for all of the board members. I don't know if he mentioned that or if you recall that or not, because you were there.
Yes, so if
Okay.
anybody's contact information has changed, let me know. But I do believe all of your contact information is up to date. So
Excellent. And okay, just to make sure, because I know it does need to be available to the general public, according to, I think, the city codes.
your email address is always available.
Just mine?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll read that again. And
I believe I'm like 92.5% sure that Amanda wanted to be on the arts.
that makes a lot of sense to me.
Yeah,
Um,
that's why I'm 92.5%.
yeah, hate to, don't want to pigeonhole her into the arts. But I will say, in terms of contact information, if you could please make sure that either your email or phone number is a contact that you check regularly, if it is not your default, just because we have had contact issues with membership in the past. So anyway, very good. So
I'll throw myself on for events, but I want to preface it with, like, I am not a good event planner. Then the way I see that my impact in that role would be to coordinate with the other subcommittees and help make their efforts come to life through events. And I'm happy to do that.
yeah, I mean, so we've got that, Amanda for arts. We've got for sustainability, John and Rachel, and who else? Did someone else
Kinsey.
speak up? Kinsey, that's right.
Yeah.
All right. Jonathan and Kevin, you're the only two board members that we haven't heard from so far.
I have a question I missed last meeting. Is
Oh,
this,
yeah.
are these subcommittees happening within the NAC meeting, like, or are they separate outside?
They would be separate. That is kind of the point, is so we don't take up we could do more by allocating more time outside of the meetings to these particular things. Then they would report back to the meeting for, so say an event, the events committee said, hey, let's do this, whatever event, book drive. And we need some money for it. Let's go to the board and say, hey, we need money to do this. And this is why.
For now, I'm gonna have to bow out. I don't have the bandwidth to join another subcommittee with this one, BCCI, and I'm basically going to school right now, which is like 2 hours a day. So I don't feel that I would be contributing very well. Sorry.
No problem.
So then from my perspective, the ones that would interest me most and the ones that I feel like would be most relevant to the work that we do with the Beaverton Downtown Association would usually be art or sustainability. We've been working on getting like some more bike racks and bike repair stations in downtown in partnership with our own sustainability team design committee that we've got going on. There could be some alignment and things like that. We work on public art projects pretty often, so there's some alignment there. And if we can just partner our two organizations together, then that could help things flow more smoothly. I am in a similar place as Jonathan, where I feel like I can't contribute very much more myself, but I think I could have a couple of volunteers from the Beaverton Downtown Association. Some of them who live in Central Beaverton or at least really close to it that might be interested in kind of overlapping their roles.
All right. So as it stands right now, would you, so we've got 3 board members on sustainability, 1 on arts, 1 on events. In the interest of not leaving Amanda to be alone, would you consider working with her on the arts side?
I can be Amanda's friend.
And focusing your tremendous skills towards that. So with that in mind, I do have 1 community member who has some limited availability, who I think would be a very good resource for you guys, and I'd be happy to put her in, or you in touch with her, or that can be just, I know that the 1 person that I know of my neighbors, she would be fantastic for working on with the arts.
Yeah, and I think that's the benefit of doing these subcommittees, is that it's easier to invite people to those than being like, come listen to development projects.
Right. I mean,
everybody.
Yeah, I think we want to, from what it sounds like to me, is we want to really engage the community at large, the general membership, in participating with us and not limiting them to, they have the always have the opportunity to attend a meeting and listen to the land use and listen to whatever presentations we may have, but for the community action, they're not constrained by this structure at all. And that'll help us. So Quinn, I will be happy to work with you on events, and we can do something. We'll do something.
I suspect I'll probably end up helping too. Just
absolutely. Yeah. I mean, and as long as we don't, none of these at the moment are anything hard and fast, and for the rest of the membership, the attendees who are still with us, we're just making sure that we're not filling subcommittees so much that they require another meeting like this with Francisca, and she's busy, to require these very formal meetings. They can be much more informal and hopefully effective as well. So we've got this is good. We've got at least a couple board members on each. There's still some room on all of them if we get new members, if anybody wants to add additional responsibilities or even just sit in on meetings. So that's good. So for so Rachel and Susan are our last 2. Rachel, did you have any interest in joining on to any of the other 2, the events or the arts?
Not at this time. I think my time is probably also thin, so I want to stick to one and do it well.
And Susan, I apologize for not getting to you earlier. I think you joined us after we went through, and we were just in the midst of stuff. Welcome to the NAC meeting now at its very end. Do you have any questions or anything you'd like to add at the time being? Do you even know what we're talking about?
Thank you for acknowledging me. No, I'm just thrilled to be here. It took me about 3 different tries, about 3 different months to figure out the system. I'm very much a 20th century person and being dragged into the 21st century, complaining and kicking and screaming.
Well, I'm neither here or there, and I still complain and kick and scream. So you're in good company.
I'm glad to be back. I've been in Beaverton for almost 50 years, so I'm enjoying this. So I'll be back.
Excellent. Yeah, I know. I believe. I'm sorry that I think we saw you either last month or the month before. I noticed you in the attendance, and I think it was just past. We were in the middle of things and didn't get the chance to acknowledge you. So I'm glad that we got to say hi directly at least this time. Well, this is a good place to start. For these, we can, amongst our, if you can contact, again, like Kevin, if you can contact Amanda, and you maybe just start to get, it's good to at least start with some kind of action, whether that's, make a mission statement for in general, or even for the next month or something like that, but to meet soon, and to produce something from that meeting. Again, whether it be a goal, whether it doesn't have to be like a whole like, hey, and now here's the arts program that the Central Beaverton NAC is going to endorse for the next 5 years.
I'll text her.
Yeah, exactly. And Quinn, we can get together at some point. I know there were several great suggestions from the December meeting, and that we kind of went over as well in January for possible events. So some of them were suggested by Amanda and Kevin, Amanda and John, and Kevin had some input as well. So I'm sure we will all still be coordinating amongst these things. But again, let me reiterate that, especially now with the subcommittees, if anyone has anything that they would like put on as an agenda item, whether it be an issue that you want to bring into the community, a group or individual that you would like to have present on something that is in some way cogent to Central Beaverton, or if you would just like a few minutes to share some poetry. As long as we've got time, then I'm more than happy to put you on the agenda. So we are running late. There is going to be just one more thing before I open it up to just the general comments and concerns. But before doing that, was there anybody else that had input or suggestions, questions, anything about the current subcommittees as we have covered them? Excellent. I will take your silence as acquiescence. Briefly, Miles had mentioned just very quickly last month that for all of us, and I'll go ahead and contact maybe the board members who will be with us next month. If you could come up just with like a statement or something about what it was that brought you to be involved with the neighborhood association committee, and bring that, and we'll just go around and probably use that as the question for March, to just in the interest of time. Doesn't need to be a story or even a paragraph, just a little quip about like, hey, why are you, not why are you here tonight, but why are you here night after night, month after month? What brings you to the NAC meetings? And I think he's going to collect those as part of the outreach that he was thinking about doing. So just think about that over the next month. I might send out an email reminder, the week before or something when the agenda comes out. And yeah, should be interesting. So with that last piece of business, we'll open it up just very quickly to see if there are any other visitor comments, questions, issues from our community. Anybody have anything else going on? I know it's the middle of winter, in the middle of a pandemic, in the middle of, I don't know, what is it? It's February now, isn't it? Yeah, so, well, I hope you're all well, and we'll look forward to seeing everybody who's here next month. Susan, we'll look forward to seeing you and Rachel as well. And with that, we are adjourned.
Good night.
Thank you.
Good night.